Knock, knock.
Oh, bad start.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
Who's there?
Mary Shelley.
Uh,
Why? No idea.
Yep. Maddie, what did we see? Well, hold on. Welcome to And Rolling, everyone. Hello. What did we see?
And you are?
I'm Matthew.
And I'm Maddie.
Wow. Maddie, what did we see?
We saw The Bride.
Yeah.
And you have to say it like that because there's an exclamation point at the end.
The Bride.
The Bride.
The Bride.
You're a little surprised.
Whoa.
It's The Bride.
The Bride.
I guess I'm doing a lot surprised, but it feels a
Either
little
way.
Lucille Bluth. I don't know, Michael. I was watching The Bride. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
In my head. It only has to make sense to me.
Okay. There you go. Do you want to tell us what this movie is about?
Not.
And let's just like shrink it down because like I really don't.
I was gonna say it is. It in some ways that's an impossible task because
I know, right?
This movie didn't know what it was about. But you start and you're in this like void with the ghost of Mary Shelley, who is played by Jessie Buckley, and she's in black and white, and she's like very angry, very like, I've been here centuries. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, girl, cool.
Whatever.
And then she like takes possession partly of a woman named Ida in 1930 Chicago who is tied to the mob. And she goes crazy in this restaurant in front of the big mob boss.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get her to calm down, and she falls down some stairs and dies. And then you see Frankenstein, played by... Oh, and by the way, Ida is also played by Jessie Buckley, in case you didn't know. Is it Buckley or Buckney? It's Buckley.
I thought it was Buckley. That's how I've always heard
I
people
always
pronounce
get
it.
her last name confused for whatever reason, and I always am like, is it Buckley, Buckney? So if
I think
I
it's
say
Buckley.
it, but if I mess up and say Buckney, you know who I mean. So she also plays Ida. But then Frankenstein comes to Chicago. He is played by Christian Bale. They call him Frank. And he goes to this doctor who has been studying reinvigoration of animals and really people.
Mm-hmm.
And surprise, surprise, he asks to see the doctor, and the woman helping him says, I am the doctor.
Whoa.
Whoa, didn't see that coming. And so he asks her to make him a bride because he is so lonely. When they shook hands was the first time he's ever touched anyone, apparently.
Dude.
I think that'd be kind of crazy that Dr. Frankenstein wouldn't have touched him. But, whatever. So then they dig up Ida and they reanimate her, and she becomes the bride. And
Yeah.
she's also still partly Mary Shelley. So
There's like a weird schizophrenic
yeah,
side of her.
and you can tell it's Mary because she starts talking in a British accent.
Yeah.
And she has like a crazy vocabulary. Anyway, they end up running away after they go to this like underground club where some of the henchmen of the mob boss, Mr. Lupino, they rough up the bride, and Frankenstein kills them. Their pictures taken. They end up on the run. And then there are these two detectives, one male, one female, and they're looking around, and they figure out things about the couple. It's so kind of like nonsensical.
They end up in New York at one point.
So the Frankenstein and Ida are like following the movie career of Ronnie Reed, who is played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Frankenstein gets like all of his interactions, like how he's socialized is through Ronnie Reed films, basically. And so they're going to the different locations of his movies, and these detectives are like hot on their trail. But as they're going, like they're in a train at one point, and the bride ends up killing a police officer, and she feels really bad about that. And then they end up killing another police officer who's gonna like attack her, and she bites his tongue out, which is symbolic because when she was alive, she like doesn't quite remember who she was before, but then she has these like kind of subconscious moments of clarity. And so you come to find out that when she was alive, she was working with one of the detectives, the male detective, and she was an informant on the mob boss. And so when they are about to finish up the case because the mob boss is killing all of these girls and cutting their tongues out, she finds out that someone up high in the police force has killed the case. Like the commissioner has killed the case because he's crooked. And so she goes to the police officer and is like, is there anything I can do to get you to keep investigating? And they end up sleeping together, and then he doesn't follow up and he doesn't push the investigation forward, and more of the women die. And she's targeted to be next. So the mob boss has sent someone who is also tailing the police officers, tailing them, to kill her and bring him her tongue. So there's something
happening
there. They also at one point meet Ronnie Reed, and it's really weird. Frankenstein is not chill about it at all.
He's like,
and
you
Ronnie
saved
Reed
my
is
life.
Like, you're not my type. Sorry. And then it becomes this big standoff.
Yeah.
And eventually, when the police officers kind of come and one keeps calling her Ida, she realizes that like the story that Frankenstein has been telling her, that her name is Penelope Rogers, and that he had proposed to her, and then she had this big accident, and that's why she can't remember everything. She realizes that that is made up, and she tries to break up with Frankenstein, but then like decides there's this whole thing where they end up at another movie theater, like a drive-in, and the female detective has continued on. She's played by Penelope Cruz. I don't remember her name. Myrna, maybe?
Sure.
And there's this big standoff. Frankenstein gets shot. Does he get shot at the movie theater?
Yeah, he gets shot at the movie theater.
Yeah, and so then she drives back to Chicago and asks the crazy doctor to reinvigorate him again because she is in love with him.
I guess.
I don't know about in love, but she wants to be with him. And at first the doctor won't do it, and then everyone shows up at this doctor's apartment / laboratory, and they shoot the bride like 8 million times.
Yeah.
And the female detective takes over the...
Yeah, Penelope Cruz is like, are we going to just keep killing each other?
She's like, they're dead. Stop shooting, which was actually very funny. And then she's like, okay, doctor, I'm going to walk out, take as long as you need, wink wink. And then you see the police officers downstairs getting the mob guy who's the first one to shoot the bride, and then there's like a big jolt of electricity upstairs, and then there's a post-credit scene or mid-credit scene where with the bride like being in the media because she's the killer bride, whatever, there's been like a movement among young women that they will put the splotch that she has on their face, and they'll like basically like take out their rage and get retribution for wrongs and whatnot. So they're like attacking people in the street, they're like rioting, all this stuff, and then you see a bunch of them and they have got Mr. Lupino and they're about to cut his tongue out, and they've freed the tongues of all of the other women that he had in these like pickle jars.
Yeah.
And that's the movie. Ta-da.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was pretty quick.
That was pretty quick, and if you are just as confused with that summary...
Now imagine that, but it's boring.
Yes. It's boring. I mean, you did a great job with the summary, babe, but even just listening to you say it again, I was like, this sucks. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Sorry. Like...
So the trailers for this movie kind of promised this like Bonnie and Clyde like monstrous thing. And I think because there's been a lot of movies out recently that kind of deal with like monstrous attraction, that was sort of the angle I thought they were going to take of like, what does it mean to inhabit, like not just to be a woman being attracted to a monster like we saw in Frankenstein.
Yeah.
With Jacob Elordi and Mia Goth, but like, what does it mean to allow yourself to be monstrous, and what freedom is there?
Yeah,
living outside of society's norms, and that is not at all what was discussed, which I think is
Yeah.
it could have been okay. On paper, everything about this movie, like if you had really focused in on one of these aspects, it would have been fine. It would have been
Yeah.
something worthwhile and interesting, but they wanted to focus on like consent, then they wanted to focus on like identity, and then womanhood as undervalued and overlooked.
Yeah.
And then there was also like
There was like a patriarchy bit in there.
a patriarchy
There
bit.
was
There's like a violence against women bit. There's so much, but you just scratch the surface.
Well, and like based off the marketing, I was like, you briefly touched on this where I was like, oh man, they're gonna be like doing this thing where it's like they're starting a movement, kind of like how in the Joker, like that movie, it's like, oh, they're starting a movement, but that is like not really. It's there, but it is like so briefly touched on. I would argue that the movie would be better without it, like because it's just like, what is this? I didn't understand.
It felt like the only reason that was in was to then have that moment at the end where they're attacking Mr. Lupino. But, like, you don't see any... It's not like it was bringing about any change of the system or any other change that you could see noticeably.
No.
It was just to bring about the downfall of this one guy who's, like, sure, representative of more than that, but because he's operating outside of the law, like with help from the law, but outside of it, I couldn't even really say that he's like a sub in for the whole structure and order of society in the country.
Well, and I would argue that, and I think that this movie, we'll talk about the pace in this movie, but like he's in the beginning and then he kind of just shows up again at the end.
So what I've heard is that this movie had a bunch of reshoots, and I think it's really clear that they spliced together a bunch of different plot lines and lost stuff in the middle.
I'm like, what did they reshoot though?
That also is crazy because this movie is so long and you feel every single second.
Yeah, if they're like, oh, we're going to reshoot to make it better, I would love to know what the original cut of this was because I feel like it can't be any better than what we got, in my opinion.
Can it be worse?
That's a great question.
There's a lot there with like the pacing.
Yeah.
I do want to start though at the very beginning and just say I was so befuddled by this whole Mary Shelley frame story.
Yes.
Because in the world, Frankenstein exists, but Mary Shelley also exists and wrote Frankenstein. And
I know.
Frankenstein happens, like Frankenstein tells you that he's born a year after the book comes out, but is still named Frankenstein, like his father's name, is Dr. Frankenstein. So that's muddled. And then it's like in the beginning, when you're just seeing Mary Shelley, she's saying that she has been waiting and forming the words to write an even scarier story than Frankenstein. And she's at the point where she can do that. And she's slipping into Ida's... It felt initially like a frame story of, oh, I'm slipping into my character's perspective, which was strange.
Yep.
But felt very theatrical in a way of like, oh, this movie is breaking conventions in movies and is kind of looking to more of a stagecraft lens, but that had no follow through.
Yeah. I actually thought that the beginning of this movie, before they leave Chicago, was kind of interesting. I was like, oh, I kind of see where we're going. I kind of liked the themes of I like the themes that they were going with where it was like, oh, what does it mean to be, I guess, I don't really even know. I guess it was like kind of like a woman who had like a free woman, I guess. Like that's going to make me sound weird, but like someone who doesn't have like isn't bound by the same societal restrictions, but is a woman, you know? And I was like, that's interesting.
Right. Well, and that goes to what I was saying earlier. I think.
Yeah.
Of,
no,
like,
I agree.
The freedom of being like feminine monster.
Yeah. And I thought that was interesting, but then once they get to New York, it becomes like super hyper sexualized. There's like monologues that don't make sense. The cops don't make sense.
Well, I don't even think Frankenstein makes sense.
No, he doesn't.
And the bride,
Christian Bale's character in the first half and in the second half of the movie are completely different characters.
Absolutely they are.
Completely different.
And his motivation changes significantly as well. And at first I was watching this and I was like, okay, is this like a parable about like men online today and how they think they want this, like, they think they know what they want in a woman and then they get it and they can't control her then they have a problem?
Can I interject a little bit?
Of course.
I thought that when...
Don't read into that.
I know. I thought that when he was talking to Ronnie Reed and he was like, you saved my life, and Ronnie Reed doesn't care, I was like, oh, that's what this is. This is like he has to seek male approval. He doesn't actually care.
Yes, and that's exactly where I was going to go next, is that I was like, this is about like an incel situation.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I feel like that actually just kind of happened on accident and wasn't like or if it did happen on purpose, that wasn't of interest to the filmmakers.
No.
Which is a shame, because that would have been... And what I've heard from, like, I've watched a couple interviews with Maggie Gyllenhaal, she's really focused on the consent aspect of this story and how, like, the bride has no say in being brought back to life, and especially being brought back to life to be a wife and, like, sexual partner.
I thought that was going to play a bigger role in this.
I think that she thinks it does, but it doesn't feel like it because, again, like there's very little fallout. In some ways, it feels like the bride and Frankenstein aren't able to like conceive of these things.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like it just feels like, I don't know, that there's something wrong there and they're not fully aware of themselves internally.
I feel like this movie was supposed to be kind of like a thriller, and like she finds out that she's been lied to.
And in that way, it felt like Passengers. Remember that Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt movie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, which is actually ironically a better movie than this one.
Shockingly.
Which is crazy because that's like a pretty mid movie.
I remember writing a blog post about that movie being like, it's Titanic in space, but with a horrible twist.
Yeah, literally. It is. It is. No, it does kind of give off those vibes. I would argue that Passengers has better themes than this movie.
Passengers, if you watch it as a horror movie, gets to the point in a better way.
Yes, 100%.
Like if the ending of Passengers was like, and then she killed him.
Yeah.
Or like the ending of Passengers grappled with the fact that she couldn't kill him because he was the only person left.
Mm-hmm.
And instead wasn't just like, and they lived happily ever after and built an oasis for them and their children.
Yeah. I agree.
Anyway.
I agree. I that's actually, I did not.
I was thinking about that the whole
that.
time. I was like,
Really?
This is Passengers. This is
Wow.
Passengers with like better, it should be a better script and better like acting and better everything, but yet somehow isn't.
I want to know where they got all those cars from.
I was thinking that when they were like busting up those cars, I was like, did
I
they
know.
really do that? Like, I feel like that would be, you couldn't do that.
Well,
with
I was
cars.
like, I know they haven't CG'd all these cars in. Like, they
Yeah.
have to be using some of them. And
Maybe they had like, maybe they like did like a call out and was like, if you have a car.
from the 30s?
You know, like the car show people?
I know. Yeah, I guess they exist. They exist. Yeah.
I don't know.
I also am like, where did you find these dirt roads? Where are you going finding these dirt roads?
That's got to be like a Hollywood backlot. Like, you know, like the Disney farm that they
Yeah.
use. It's got to be like somewhere in there.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like, it's the 30s, so there's a lot of
Although,
like
actually,
dirt roads and
I
stuff.
think they did film this in New York, so maybe they just went upstate and like found a really rural area.
I could see it.
This was what really frustrated me. I mean, so much about this movie is just like untapped potential. There was nothing in it that I was like, oh, this is a bad idea and this wouldn't work. Everything could have worked.
Yes.
It just didn't. And like specifically, I'm so fascinated by the choice to set this in the 30s. It's such an interesting time to be exploring deviancy, because that is so when you're looking like historically, okay?
Yeah.
You get to the 30s, you've had the Roaring 20s, then you have the Great Depression. It's rough, and that kind of kills the Roaring 20s, but you get back to kind of a normalcy in the 30s, and globally it's very progressive. And you find like, and this is in part what led to the Third Reich, was that Berlin was this hub of sexual like exploration and gender nonconformity, and avant-garde is really the word that I think I want to use, that I was trying to struggle to find.
Gotcha.
But so it's avant-garde, and I mean, you don't necessarily, it's not like it's that way everywhere, but there is a big subculture that frightens a lot of people, and then you see this regressive movement back to like kind of the heteronormative strictness of the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so interesting to see that kind of play out on screen, because she's going to these clubs in Chicago where you see like trans people, you see gay couples, people are dancing very scandalously, just this kind of like bubbling. I mean, it's like in some ways speakeasy culture, but queer. And I thought that was so interesting, because it made me think of this movie that I had to watch for the my class in college that was like the Holocaust in performance art.
Oh God, which one?
I don't remember the name of this movie, but it has the guy who played Cersei Lannister's twin. What's his name? Jaime Lannister on Game of Thrones, and he plays a young German soldier who is gay.
Oh. And
so you see the opening of the movie. I think it might be called The Pink Triangle. Like that might be the name of the movie. It's something like that.
Okay.
And it's this artist who's gay who has an affair with this German soldier. Before everything really like kicks off, and I don't remember what happens to the German soldier, but you see this, queer Berlin, and then the main character is sent to a camp and lives on the side with gay men and has to wear the pink triangle. And I don't know. I haven't seen many other depictions, and so it just made me think of that, and I was like, that is such an interesting exploration. But then nothing really comes of it, and so that was, again, identity would have been such an interesting exploration in this movie, and they don't do much with it.
I think what this movie needed was focus.
Yes.
I'm like
something. Pick one thing. Pick one thing and really go for it.
We'll probably release this TikTok, but if we don't, anyways, you'll know. My first reaction was that Maggie Gyllenhaal should never write anything ever again. Like it was that incoherent. And I have a little bit more sympathy hearing that there were a lot of reshoots, because I'm like, how much of a hand did the studio have in this and stuff like that? But I am like, is this supposed to be like a liberation story? Because it doesn't feel like that.
We have to talk about the line.
Which line?
So at one point at the very end, when you're kind of getting them to get back to the idea of like the bride as a victim, but not a victim coming back to life, a victim in her previous life. And it's like, well, what about me? Like, I've been hurt too. Me too.
Has anyone thought about me too? And I'm like,
it was like beat you over the head with a hammer.
Yes.
And in like the worst way. I don't know. It was just so poorly done. So and there was no perspective. There was no interesting perspective that you were like, oh, well, let's look at it from this angle. I would say there wasn't even like a main narrative, like point of view that you were watching from.
Yeah. You know those things where it's like, oh, people shouldn't be putting politics or whatever. I'm like,
First of all, wrong.
yeah, I'm like, put politics into it, but like, what? First off, this movie barely, in my opinion, had anything to do with, in general, with, I mean, I guess it sort of did, but like, it doesn't feel like it with the whole product because it's so spacey. But I feel like it barely really had anything to do with like women's rights, and then they like beat you over the head with like the contemporary politics, and I'm like, right? I guess.
I felt like it was so forgiving of individual men.
Yes.
Because, so again, like she's upset at Frankenstein, not for necessarily bringing her back to life and like dictating that she'll be his partner, but upset at him for like lying about her name and their story, because up until this point, they've kind of been like crafting a narrative together, almost like a game of like, and then you proposed to me, and then you'd be like, I proposed and I did this, and she'd be like, oh yes, that's right, that's lovely.
Yeah.
And so Frankenstein gets off the hook, and she becomes like his biggest advocate, saving him again. But then the independent, like the detective, there's this big ballroom scene. He calls her Ida. She kind of seems to remember herself with like dark hair, which she does not have the entire movie. Also, it was like, get this woman a comb, for the love of God, comb that hair. But then she's like recognizing that, and she says some stuff to him that indicates that subconsciously she remembers him. And then he has this like come to Jesus moment within like 5 minutes, being like, I'm a bad detective. I slept with a witness and I didn't help her and I didn't help any of these girls and I don't deserve to be, I'm no better than any of the crooked cops. I'm just a crooked cop, blah, blah, blah. And then he gives his badge over to Penelope Cruz. And I was like, okay.
Do you think we were supposed to feel sympathy for him in that moment?
That is what I was kind of getting, but I was like, I actually don't feel bad for you at all, and you shouldn't be giving up. Like, this should double you, like, redeem yourself. Double down. Fix the problem.
Right.
And instead he just like handed it off to a woman to go and do the dangerous job.
Well, and also the other thing is, it's like, it's shown the entire time that she's not respected at all, and that he distracts them in while she does all the actual detective work and everything.
Yeah.
And he's not that competent. But then, and they like work well together as a team, but then he just hands her off, and then it literally shows where she's just like not respected. Like, and I'm like, is this supposed to be some sort of empowering thing? Like, even when he hands off the reign of power, it's not like anyone in the police force is like, oh, maybe we should listen to her. They're like, I have actually fucked this woman. I'm like, what?
Again, half-baked, poorly done. Like, frustrating. This was just a frustrating movie, and I cannot stress to you enough how dull it was to watch. At least with Wuthering Heights, I'm like, my eyes are eating. You know what I mean?
I was telling your parents at dinner, it was like, this movie, at least, like Wuthering Heights was like a coherent story. It wasn't a good story, but it was a coherent story. And this one, you're just like, what the fuck? And it's so boring. Guys, like, it's been a hot minute since I've almost fallen asleep in a movie, and this was
and there were some people who did leave, and it wasn't very far into the movie, and they were like, I'm done, which I don't blame them. But what I will say, so we've had a couple stinkers in a row, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
But this movie and How to Make a Killing are like two sides of the same bad coin.
Yes.
Whereas How to Make a Killing is like corporate slop, and this was clearly like attempting to be interesting and new and like, I don't know, not groundbreaking, but just trying to have a different craft to it, but still bad.
Yeah, I feel like, to bounce off what you're saying, I feel like How to Make a Killing was a quote unquote well-written script, in the sense of it was coherent with nothing to say. And this movie had something to say, but it was so poorly written that it didn't get anything across. That's
Yes.
kind of how I feel about this.
I think we've collectively, you and I think we've nailed that.
Yeah, I agree.
No
I
notes.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should get married.
Ooh. Are you proposing?
I am. Oh, but only at Niagara Falls, and then we pawn off the ring.
To pay for champagne.
To pay for
of course.
champagne, of course.
Of course.
That's a line of the
Something
film.
I have to say, I have a soft spot for Christian Bale because of Newsies and the 1994 Little Women, and he irked me in this movie.
I didn't think that either of them were I don't think that anyone, maybe except for Penelope Cruz and Peter Sarsgaard, I didn't think that anyone acted poorly.
I don't think he acted poorly. The choice of how the character was going to interact in the world irked me.
Okay.
Like, he talked slow. Sometimes he was more coherent than others. And so it was really inconsistent. It's like it didn't always feel like he was there, like processing what was happening. But then sometimes it did. And so you kind of went into each scene. And truthfully, same with The Bride. But Jessie Buckley, I thought, was a little more interesting in it because it was fast paced. And you weren't sure if you were getting Mary or her. You know, so that was kind of fun. But Frankenstein's like lumbering, slow, which I get is very Frankenstein, just irritated me when the stakes were fast paced, because this makes no sense. The detectives are always able to catch up with them, even though they have a huge head start, and they're traveling vast distances. Like,
they're
they
like
go from Kansas
zigzagging
City
the
to New
country.
York. And that happens in the blink of an eye, and the detectives are right on them. Like, get real. Get real. The pacing is insane.
When did this movie take place, and how does the department allow them to be away from their desks for this long?
Yeah, they're like just two people from Chicago.
Yeah.
They're just like CPD.
Yeah. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, this is before the days of the FBI. It's not like anyone's like, oh, well, we have a dedicated team for tracking these people across state lines. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I was going to say this. I am shocked that we got two people who speak/smile out of the side of their mouth in the same movie. Like, Jessie Buckley always smiles with the right side of her face, and Christian Bale is always the left side of his face. Every single time, no matter what, in every movie. And they speak that way too. Like, Jessie Buckley will talk like this out of the side of a mouth, and then Christian Bale kind of is more in the middle, but his lips, they do this thing where they just stick out. And you're like, buddy, like,
Yeah.
and then whenever he smiles, it's always the left side of his mouth. I'm like, what is going on here?
Another thing that we didn't really touch on in the summary is that, like, when Frankenstein is watching these Ronnie Reed movies, he often, like, you then see him inserted into the film, either as like a backup dancer or Ronnie Reed himself, and sometimes Jessie, and sometimes the bride also joins. Okay, I figured out Julianne Hough is in this movie, and she is the woman that Ronnie Reed dances with in all of the sequences.
Oh.
Which makes sense.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I saw her name in the credits, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't see her at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like, there's this like fantastical element where other characters will see them in this, like, you know, Hollywood movie, which is odd. Again, there were some creative choices that I think would have worked better in a theater. Or that, like, I would have digested easier.
You mean like in a
theater
Broadway
setting.
theater?
Yeah, in a Broadway theater, or
Yeah.
like if I were seeing some community theater or like a regional theater that made these choices, I'd be like, wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And you're able to, like, kind of suspend that disbelief.
Yeah.
When you I guess in a lot of ways, I think that theater functions as an outlet for more creative performances. We expect movies to be realistic, even in our fantasy. You know, if you were to, like, have a fantasy movie where there weren't rules for the magic or rules for the timeline, people would get really upset with you.
Yeah.
Whereas with theater, because you're understood to be, I think, representing the inner workings of a character and of a perspective,
Yeah.
there's a bending of reality that's permissible there.
Do you think? Yeah, and like, I mean, do you think it's a medium thing? And because like, there's an expectation in theater. It's like, well, this is a set. This is a set. This isn't real.
And there's only
like,
so much you can do.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. And in this way, I went in, and even as I'm sitting there in the first third being like, I don't really like this, but I'm appreciating the bending of the medium, the stretching
Yes.
of it. I was like, that is cool. And if it had been done well, and like, I actually don't know that it was done poorly. I think all of it together was too much to tackle in one movie.
Oh, 100%.
And you couldn't, like, if it had been done in a way that was focused,
Yeah.
I actually think I would have been really into this.
Well, let me tell you my emotional journey as we were watching this film. So
Draw us a map.
when they're in Chicago, I was like, this movie isn't good, but it's not bad. Because I heard rumors like the day that we went that people were like not enjoying this film. And I was like, okay. And they're like, and one of my
I will say I heard the same, and I fully went in prepared to be like, they're wrong.
yeah, me too. No, I was like, it can't be that bad.
I was like, it's the people who don't like this. This looks like a little weirdo movie. I'm
Right.
a little weirdo person. I'm gonna like this.
Right. And well, and like I was talking to one of my coworkers, and he was like, we just saw it, and I was like, let me know what you think. And he said, it's different. And I was like,
Who said that?
Tyler.
Oh my god.
I know.
That's so funny.
I know. Tyler was like, we're going to see The Bride. And I was like, oh, let me know what you think. And he was like, it's different. And I said, should be an interesting podcast. And he was like, I can't wait to listen. So when he's listening, there you go. You got Tyler got a shout out.
So funny.
No, I know.
I can hear him say it. Like I hear his voice.
Oh, I know,
saying
because
it.
he's
Yeah.
so monotone. He'll be
Yeah.
like, that was different.
Different.
Yeah. You know.
Oh, I love that guy.
And
love
then-
that guy.
But I was like, okay, like I'll see what it's like, because I think that Tyler and I watch a lot of different movies. Like they're really into like the superhero stuff, and I'm not as
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
I
oh,
think of them as like genre people. You know, like they
Yeah.
have their genres that
yeah,
they like.
which is great. And I was like going in there, and I was like, well, we'll see what I think. And I was like, no, he's right. That was different. Like that's
Different is,
like-
is like the bare minimum word that you can use for that.
Yes. But anyways, my emotional journey.
Yeah.
So I was like,
I like this as a segment. I hope we continue to do
My
Matthew's
emotional journey?
emotional journey.
so well, it's like the bar graphs, you
yeah,
know.
like
that, you know,
I do kind of want you to like make a little map for us. Like
Yeah. But it's like when they're in Chicago. Well, so it starts off, and I was like, with Mary Shelley, I was like,
yeah, that was like a low point
what?
for me.
I was like, this is so stupid. And
Also, like I don't know that we described how they filmed that. It's in black and white, and they keep changing the light on her so she looks
Yes.
like a skeleton.
it's so
But she's
weird.
in like a Mary Todd from Oh Mary kind of costume. So
Well, like you said, I thought it was a framing device where she's like, I'm going to tell you something even scarier.
you
And I
wanna
was
hear a
like,
different ghost story.
okay.
Which also I don't think they got I don't think Mary Shelley
No.
would be thinking any of that. But go
No,
on.
I was sitting there, and I was like, listen, I know that Mary Shelley was a little
As
weirdo.
established on the pod.
As
was a
established
freak.
on the pod, go back, listen to the Frankenstein episode,
A
the
freak.
2006.
A freak.
A weird girl, but like the way that she's talking, I'm like, this is not the way that someone from her time period would have talked. I just don't buy
It
her.
made me think of Wicked Little Letters and like
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, which is a great movie, by the way.
Also
Also
with
with Jesse
Jessie
Buckley. Yeah, so, and everyone should watch it. That's a great film. But so it starts off, and I was like, what? Especially when she possesses her, I was like, huh?
And that scene went on
And
for forever.
It was so cringy. And then Frankenstein comes in, and I'm like, oh, this is a little bit more interesting. They revive her. It's interesting. And I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe this movie, like, the themes are cool. I'll see how they execute it. I'm kind of at like a 4, right? And then when they leave Chicago, I'm like, this is mid. It's like a 3. And then after her whole speech in New York, everything after that, I'm like, okay, we are for sure in a different movie. And I'm like, this movie is a 2. This movie sucks.
So this movie, and you'll have to bear with me,
Okay.
made me think of this story from Michael and Louise, where they were doing an escape room,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like New York mafia themed,
Okay.
and they're in like the second room, and they open a door, and suddenly they're in Chinatown, and they're like, okay,
Cool.
I guess we're in Chinatown now.
Yeah.
So they start looking around, but nothing is making sense.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is adding up. They can't figure it out. And they're trying to get a hold of the game master. They've been playing in this room for like 10 minutes. And they finally get a hold of him, and he's like, oh, you've gone into the, like, that's actually a totally different room. That's a different escape room entirely.
What?
That door was supposed to be locked, and you weren't supposed to get through it.
No.
Yeah, like a completely and if you guys are listening and don't know us in real life, we worked for many years at an escape room. So this is like a personal. This did not happen at the escape room we worked at.
No.
But a personal topic.
That's
because
crazy that they
we
even
are
had
former escape room professionals.
It's crazy that they even had a door that connected to the other room.
And don't get me started on that. But that's how this movie feels. It feels like you start in New York and then
Yeah.
you open a door and suddenly you're in Chinatown.
Yeah. That's
start in,
no.
like,
That's
Mafia
so
New York.
accurate. So
and
accurate.
suddenly, you're somewhere else.
And the whole Mary Shelley framed bit disappears for a significant chunk of time in this movie, and it just becomes Ida, and Jessie Buckley starts talking in a Chicago accent.
Oh, that's another thing I wanted to say about this movie.
Okay.
Where were the accents? They weren't there. They're like the cops, Peter Sarsgaard, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I know, dude. He
should have had an accent. This was before the like standardization of
I know.
regional accents.
It's like
and
standard Midwest.
it was, but it
East
was
Coast.
that didn't exist then because
Right.
so this is something interesting linguistically. Like when you're watching these movies, you expect them to have accents because this is before like big broadcasts like
Yeah.
TV that really standardized a single accent for people, and so regional accents were far more prevalent. And so if you wanted to believe that he was like a big Chicago cop, he needed to be talking like a big Chicago cop from the 30s. It broke it for me.
Even if he wasn't a big Chicago cop, he still should be talking like this. He should be like, hey, we have a crime scene here. We don't know what to do about it. Like, that's kind of how he should be talking.
Maybe like that.
That's kind of how he should be talking.
He should sound like Wally.
Yeah, he
At
should.
bare minimum, he should sound like Wally.
Right. The A's. He should at least be like, in Chicago, we have this thing over here. Like,
When you say here,
here.
you're doing Jersey.
I'm doing Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Maybe this is why I'm not an actor. Ugh.
You did do a really good Boston the other day.
Oh, yeah. I need to sign up for the credit card.
Credit card.
Can I sign up for the credit card, please? Harvard Yard.
Credit card.
Credit card. Oh, my God.
He's getting a
So-
lot of people calling in right now from Boston.
Yeah, at work. And so I get all the time, like, I need a computer. Can I get a computer, please? And I need someone to install things.
Anyway, that is something. I'm glad you kind of brought this up because the accent bit, I was just like, I love that we've decided to use the 30s as like the setting for the other reasons I've mentioned. But if we're going to do it, you've got to really go full throttle.
Yeah, I understand your excitement for the 30s, but because they don't use it, it's not interesting.
No, it had the potential to be interesting.
Right. It did have the potential.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. there. I didn't pick up on that before, but now I'm picking up on it. So,
Yeah.
it takes me a minute. I'm a little slow sometimes. So, yeah, I'm just. It's one of those movies where I'm just disappointed. I'm just disappointed because
I'm
also,
not angry. I'm just disappointed.
well, the marketing set it up where I was like, that seems interesting.
I think also the idea of a follow-up after Frankenstein, like a really
Yeah.
good Frankenstein, and then kind of like seeing people I trusted at the helm of this film
Yeah.
to like have something to say and to make something interesting. And I think that that's the letdown of like, oh, we just got a really good like adaptation of Frankenstein proper,
Yeah.
but then this alleged exploration into the bride really fell flat.
Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of interesting stuff to be said about the bride, to grapple with about the bride.
Right. Yeah. I think the idea of a female Frankenstein
Also, the
is
idea of
interesting.
complicity.
Yeah.
With Frankenstein and like the moral quandary of, I'm not happy. Do I
Right.
solve my own happiness by putting someone else in this position?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We could spin this for hours.
I
Just
think that's a great
how there was a great
philosophical question. It's not
there were
answered in this
a
movie.
lot of possibilities
Yeah.
and potential here that just never came to fruition.
Right. Right.
I can't even say, like, at least with Wuthering Heights, I could say, oh, the cinematography was great. This cinematography was like, all right, it's a movie.
This is one of those movies where I feel like if it was any worse, like if the costuming was worse, if the setting was worse, if the acting was even a little bit worse, like if it wasn't Jesse Buckley and Christian Bale, like two really good actors, if it was like some like mid-tier folks, this could have maybe been a 1 for me. This movie
Yeah.
was not good. Like I also told your parents this, but I was like, I didn't spend any money on this. Like, I guess I sort of did because we have our like A-list pass and everything. But we saw this in IMAX. If I paid money to see this in IMAX, like $20, whoa. Like, that would be my moment where I'm like, I really wasted my time and money here. Like, this was not worth it. Even How to Make a Killing, like, you could see that in a standard theater, spend the money, and it'd be like, look, did I waste my money? Yes, but it's the way it is. This movie, I think I might have been upset emotionally. Like, I would have been like, ooh. Because I was telling them, like, I didn't spend any money on this, but I feel like I wasted my money on it at the same time.
I feel like I wasted my time.
Yeah. We totally wasted our time. And here we are talking about it. This podcast is more entertaining than this movie.
And to the point, we got the comment from longtime listener, multi-time caller Danny, that thanking us for our service in seeing bad movies so she doesn't have to. And to that I say, yeah, it is not without great personal cost.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Now,
yeah.
I also will say I do love a bad movie. I'm an enjoyer of
I can hate watch.
Yeah. But this wasn't enjoyable.
Also, people in the theater. Let's talk about the people in the theater.
Okay, girl, go off.
That couple next to us.
Yeah.
Did you experience what I experienced with them next to us? I should have done something sooner. Like, this movie was bad, but they were being so rude. They were talking. You could hear it the whole time, and I was about ready to move one seat over, lean over, and be like, "What are we talking about, guys? What are we talking about?"
I wish you had.
Oh.
That would have been so funny. No, I did not hear them.
I should have done it.
I heard some voices, but it wasn't egregious.
Oh, it was
compared to like the third time Dracula with me and Haley. That was painful.
That was rough.
Yeah. I'm glad you weren't there for it, but it was awful.
The speaking of auditory annoyances, I felt like whoever did the Mary Shelley voice balancing in this movie needs to be fired because it was like, oh, let's just have every speaker doing her voice and the music at the same time. So it's like this weird echo effect with your ears. And I was like, my brain could not make sense of it because it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, this isn't cool. It's not an echo effect.
I will say, for a while, this felt almost like watching Shakespeare because hear them through the mix. So I was just relying on visuals and like tone and blocking to like put together what they were saying,
That's so
because
funny.
I could not understand, like, with the mumbling, and then with her, like, I don't know, she sometimes then, as Mary Shelley, started talking really quickly using like a more elevated language, and yeah, as you said, like the sound was just kind of wonky, and I could
Yes.
not follow it, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna watch the body
Yeah.
to make sense of what's happening.
Yeah. The audio was really weird in this movie. Not all the time. It was incredibly inconsistent.
And to talk about audio, I fear we must address the credits where they played Monster Mash.
Yeah, they did play Monster Mash.
That was like egregious, in my opinion.
Man,
Name one good choice that they made.
yeah, I'm like, okay, we're playing Monster Mash. I think this is definitely the worst movie of the year so far. And I hope it's the worst. It's crazy because January was actually pretty good this year. Like, and I'm like, what is going on with, in general, February and March right now?
I will say, I do think March we're going to be in an upswing.
I agree with you.
Pretty soon, because we've got you've got Project Hail Mary.
Hoppers, I've heard, is really good.
And I've got Ready or Not 2.
Yeah.
What else?
You say like me and you like we're not going to be interested.
I'm just telling you what I think.
Yeah. We're seeing Pillion, and we've heard good things about it.
I've heard really good things
from
about that.
longtime listener.
Yeah.
Has not called in yet, Lissa. So that's good. All the shout outs are happening in this episode, I guess. Everyone's got to listen. God
you
forbid.
get a shout out, and
you get a shout out.
Ryan's going to be like, I didn't get one. Now you did.
Now you did. Look at that.
The Mummy Returns is coming back to theaters. 25th anniversary.
Wow. There you go.
Oh, advance tickets are on sale.
Wow. No, I think the March is going to be an upswing. But wow, I mean, you talk about usually January is the stinker month, and that has not been the case at all. I've seen people. Did you want to talk about the Oscar thing as well with Jessie Buckley at all?
Oh,
because it's somewhat relevant.
I have seen some people speculate that this might be her Norbert.
Yeah, which I don't think
that
will be the case.
This movie has come out, and there's only a couple days left for the Academy to vote for the Oscars, and that this movie is so bad that it's going to impact her potentially getting the lead, the award for Hamnet. I don't think that, because I do think Hamnet was such. I mean, everyone's seen it at this point, and it was such a great performance, and I don't know that this can kill that, but certainly I think this is a weak point in her filmography.
Yeah, and I'm also kind of like, I could see where Eddie Murphy, or was it Eddie Murphy or who?
Yeah. It was
where
Eddie Murphy was nominated for his role in Dreamgirls, and then Norbert came out or Norbert 2 came out like 2 weeks before the voting ended, and then he didn't win.
I could see how Eddie Murphy could take on a role that's like, obviously because he's like a comedian, but where it's like too silly and too goofy. That is not this movie, and she acts well enough in it that I'm like, if anyone is seriously thinking that she doesn't have the chops to be a best actress,
I feel like I'm concerned that she took this project on if this was the script that she was reading. I doubt it, though.
The reshoots make me,
so much was cut.
Yeah, the reshoots make me skeptical. Yeah.
Just odd.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, that I want to say about the timing and the pacing, not only were like individual moments, particularly with Frankenstein, just like really drawn out, but it felt like certain scenes went on way too long. So like her in the restaurant, the scene in the ballroom.
The ballroom scene, I'm like,
most of the scenes in the movie theater, it just like I think you could have cut another half hour from this movie.
This is another thing that I was like, this is totally inconsistent with the movie, is when it's like there's a revolution going on and all this stuff. And it's like all the women, and it's like, okay, that's cool that that's happening. But the problem is every single time that she interacts with a woman, it's in a negative way. Like every single time that she's interacting with another woman, it's she does not enjoy it, and the other woman reacts negatively.
I actually would say that the only time that maybe doesn't happen is in the theater, where she saves that girl who's getting like felt up by her boyfriend and keeps saying no.
But then that woman is like, "Oh my God, she's a monster killer."
I thought that she was just kind of looking at her longer, but maybe she comes into the mob and I didn't see her.
No, I thought that she had I thought that she was a part of the mob and was like, we need to kill her.
And see, this in part, some of like when I was running the movie blog, if I had a question like that, I would just go and see it again before I published the blog.
Yeah.
And that is in some ways not a failing, but like a limitation of doing this.
Of our first.
Yeah, we're essentially just doing like first impressions.
Yeah. It's really a first impressions podcast.
Yeah, we don't often go back and rewatch in enough time to include it in the pod, which, you know.
Yeah, I think the only time we've done that is with people we meet on vacation, but we had the luxury of
watching at home. And then, of course, like the rewinds, you know, we've maybe seen before and we're going at it again.
Yeah.
You know, like with Pride and Prejudice. So
yeah,
they're give and take. But overall, by and large, we don't have the luxury of like fact checking everything. So if one of us missed something in the theater, you know, it might not be true. So I guess what I saw was that girl was kind of looking at her and maybe wasn't viewing her as a monster because she had been saved by her.
Okay. I mean,
but
I hope that...
I could be wrong because that scene happened very quickly and there were a lot of people.
I hope that what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
Because that would make the movie make more sense.
See, like, I felt like then maybe she was one of the, like, I could see her then joining the, like, bride. Yeah. Oh, and then what they kept saying, this is a brain attack, which...
Yeah, what did that mean? Was that in, like, her monologue? I'm going to be honest.
It was in her monologue when she had the gun. She said, this is a brain attack. But it sounded like it was Mary Shelley maybe saying that.
I'm going to be honest. There were some, like, speeches in this movie where I kind of just zoned out. I was
Again, everything went on way too long. It needed to be cut. It needed to be, like, refined. A first draft like this makes so much sense because you're kind of like, okay, these are the themes I could focus in on. This is maybe what I'm trying to say, but there are all these different avenues to say it. And then you go through and you narrow in and you like let things go because you're like, you know what? That's not getting me where I need to be, or like I have too much to focus on. And so as a first draft, I could see this being really compelling.
Yeah.
But it needed to be focused in and refined.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it, unless there's something that you wanted to add or feel like we haven't touched on it.
I just wasn't expecting this to be a musical. And then following
I would argue it's not a musical, but I would argue that there are dance sequences, but it's not like a musical. It's not even like where you're like, oh, Ann Lee isn't a musical. Like, there's like 2 or 3 musical bits in this movie.
And that was 2 or 3 songs or musical bits more than what I was expecting.
Fair enough. You got me there.
And also, I did not realize Jake Gyllenhaal was in this movie.
No.
So that was like a jump scare. And then at the end... he's the one actually singing in those songs, which is insane.
He's not bad.
He's not bad. He's very high.
Yeah. You know what? This goes back to an old Dear Maddie that we had.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a Dear Maddie, send it in. Just comment. Either comment, send it to Maddie. However you can get a hold of us. I really don't care. And where Ryan asked us, do we watch the trailers before? And this is one of those instances where I had seen the trailer before and I remembered it well because I was like, oh, that actually seems more interesting because it was before Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
And I was like, that seems more interesting than
I remember
what I
being
remember.
like, I think that might be what Wuthering Heights wants to be.
Yes. When in reality, they're two completely different movies.
Well, yeah.
That they're two completely different movies and Wuthering Heights is actually better. So... but this is one where I'm like, so I've seen the trailer and I am incredibly disappointed because it wasn't like the trailer.
But I don't know if it and this is an interesting question. If you hadn't seen the trailer, would you be disappointed in the same way? Or would you still be disappointed at the same level? Or would you maybe just be disappointed at all?
I don't think I'd be disappointed. I think I'd be like, this movie's bad,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe disappointed in the sense of like you were saying earlier, it's like, oh, I trusted these people.
Yeah.
And then it was bad. But
I do feel a little differently about Jessie Buckley now, I have to say.
Really?
I'm a little
because you were a big fangirl.
I am a big fangirl. I think I still am, but I'm just like, why did you choose this project?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what merit were you seeing in this project?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about your rating, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So we should touch on that. Mine's a 2. I mentioned that earlier.
I think mine is also a 2. I don't think I can go to a 1 here.
I don't think I can either, but it's close.
Because I appreciate, as I said earlier, the attempt to stretch the medium.
Yeah.
And I think there were so many good ideas that just didn't fit together and weren't expanded upon in a decent way. In a way that made sense.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
What would have made it a 1 for you?
I think worst performances.
Okay, so kind of the same as me.
Yeah, worst performances and maybe worst production value.
Yeah.
I felt like the production value for the most part was pretty good. I did kind of question the whole car situation.
Mm-hmm.
I also and this is something that I don't know that we've talked about, but worldview. If the worldview of the film had been and the mobster was right, and all of those women should have had their tongues cut out, that would have also made it a 1 for me.
Sure.
I agree with the worldview, even though I feel like it was maybe too on the nose.
Sure.
And didn't explore anything relevant or interesting.
Yeah.
But, if it had been and yeah, she is a slut and she deserved to die, that would have been a 1.
Yeah.
Or maybe it would have 0. That would have been so far from anything that I would have found valuable, artistic, good, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I do think that
agree.
worldview plays a role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's very fair.
And in part, right, one of the things that makes The Room so odd, beyond the performances, beyond the low production value, is his insistence that Lisa is a whore.
Yeah. Yeah, the worldview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird worldview, and so inherently, I think in The Room, that makes it just sort of laughable. It's so bad, it's laughable, especially in the time period that it's made, where
mm-hmm.
we felt like we were moving towards equality and whatnot.
Yeah.
It just becomes this bizarro thing.
Yeah.
Now that's more threatening.
Mm-hmm.
And has more relevance, and also I think it's if someone made The Room and it was great acting, a great script, the storyline's exactly the same, but the script is really good and the production value is great.
Yeah.
That then becomes more problematic because the worldview is then able to be taken at more of a legitimate place. Because all of those things are weird,
mm-hmm.
and because Tommy Wiseau is such a strange man,
mm-hmm.
the worldview then becomes comical. It's funny that he thinks that because he is himself
a comical man,
a character,
yeah.
and not someone you're gonna take seriously.
Right.
But imagine if Steven Spielberg made a movie, made The Room, okay?
Yeah.
And has the best actors. The script is tight, even though, like...
It's Schindler's List, but he's like, actually, Schindler did a really bad thing and broke the law.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that. And then it becomes a little bit dangerous because it's presented as this, like, everything else is respectable about it. Everything else is, like, legitimate. So then is the worldview legitimate? So I think that that's an important part that, you know, we don't often have to grapple with because we're not watching these, like, I Saw Heaven movies. Yeah. And Ronald Reagan was there, and he told me, you know, that trickle-down economics does work. You know what I mean? Like, we're not watching those kinds of movies.
Yeah, we're not.
So we don't often have to grapple with, like, oh, is this worldview...
Yeah, like
does the worldview impact how I feel about the movie?
I want to say that we've gone from a really interesting AMC experience where, like, so... The AMC that we would go to in Indianapolis was like very much like during December, it was like Nativity was like half the theaters.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like whatever the Christmas movie was to now.
It's
now,
all like Bollywood.
Yeah, now where we're going, it's like no subtitles. Like you gotta know like Taglu or whatever it's something like that is the language, and it's like what? Like
it's fun. I like that more, but it is like okay, yeah.
It's so strange.
It's just interesting to see the different like markets.
Yes, yeah, and like
to move between them.
Yeah,
we do occasionally still go back to the Castleton one, but like.
It's
different, and just the different offerings because there's 2 AMCs that we'll go to in our area now, and you know one does primarily have the like action. Yeah, like they'll have action kids movies and then Bollywood. Yeah, and then the other has like horror, action, not so much the kids movies, and occasionally like art, like more indie films.
Well.
And you kind of know, like, oh, if I'm going to see this type of movie, I probably have to go to this theater.
Yeah, and, like, also how, like, when we saw The Testament of Anne Lee, we had to go to an AMC that was kind of, like, way more white, you know? And it's like, why here and not anywhere else? Like, what's going on? Like, it's like, what's happening? Just odd choices all around, you know?
Yeah, the market segmentation is...
It's strong here.
It's noticeable.
It is.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like in indie, unless we were going to the art cinema, which just had a different vibe entirely and wasn't an AMC theater, the AMCs around us, they were all roughly showing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was primarily like, you know, action or like Marvel, like superhero stuff. Yeah. And then the weirdo, like essentially self-published Christian movies.
Yes. Yeah, the Angel Studios.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Like, what? I miss that art cinema theater.
The art cinema was crazy. We had the best Valentine's Day at the art cinema one year. We went and we paid like $14, and that's just like for both of us. That's not like per person.
It's still like the $7 tickets.
It's like both of us together.
Awesome.
And we got to watch Sabrina, the Audrey Hepburn version.
Yeah.
Which isn't like the best movie, but it was very like Valentine's Day.
And we saw it in the theater, and it was fun.
It was cute. I had a great time.
And then it was really funny because as soon as the movie ended, the guy, like, there was a guy with his, like, grandma, and he was like, that was way better than the Harrison Ford one.
And
I was like,
to that, like, it is. Yeah. I'd much rather watch Audrey Hepburn's version.
But
yeah, if you're looking for a cute Valentine's Day date in Indianapolis, we highly recommend
Keystone Landmark Art Cinema.
Exactly.
I think it's a Landmark.
I think you're right.
Either way, Keystone Fashion Mall.
Art Cinema.
Northside Indy.
Maybe you'll catch us there.
Maybe. Probably not, but you might.
Unless Valentine's Day is on a weekend.
Yeah.
We're not really there in the week anymore.
Like, my mom and I saw this really weird, like, Irish movie there one time, and it's like, okay.
Yeah,
you know?
that's where I saw Promising Young Woman. I went by myself.
Yeah.
And then I saw many movies there because it used to be that Matt would work really late, and so I'd get off earlier, and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to go to the movie.
Yep. And she'd just go by herself.
Cheap tickets. This was pre-AMC Stubbs A-List.
We didn't understand.
Yeah. But
now we
also,
don't.
it was just a nicer experience. None of their theaters have been renovated, so you have the old movie theater chairs.
Dude, talk about a theater that hasn't been renovated. That IMAX that we were
Also,
in.
that
Holy
IMAX
crap.
was crusty dusty. The
Yes.
lights came on, we're walking down, and I'm looking at the walls, and it is Dust Bunny Central.
Guys, this is supposed to be like the nicest movie theater in the area. And I'm like, live up to your name.
I also have to say, with the billionaire discourse happening, the CEO, the McDonald's CEO,
Yeah.
tried to eat a burger. It did have me missing Greg Marcus of Marcus Theaters, because that's the theater I grew up going to. So you'd see Greg all the time. And if Marcus would have a better subscription, I'd change over in a heartbeat. You know that I'm a Nicole Kidman AMC, we come to this place for Magic Girly, but truthfully at my core, I'm a Greg Marcus stan.
I need to @Greg Marcus and be like, listen,
Greg,
get a better movie
Greg.
pass system, and I will go to your theaters, because
I'll be there morning, noon, and night.
When we went into that theater, I was like, I shouldn't be here. I'm too low class. That's how I felt. That's how I felt.
It's funny you say that, because that place did used to be more dumpy. They've renovated significantly. Now they have like a wood fire pizza grill in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love what you're doing, Greg, but I do need you to have and I'll pay $30.
I'll pay more. I'll
pay more than AMC. Maybe not like a ton more. I will pay more.
Yeah.
But it can't.
I'm not paying
right
like $50
now, it's
a month.
2 movies a month.
Yeah.
And that will not sustain me, Mr. Marcus. You gotta give me something more here.
No, it's not enough. It's not enough, and especially because it's not that much cheaper than AMC either.
No.
And I'm just like, oh, come on.
Help me help you.
Literally, shout out Marcus Theaters. If you don't have,
we love you, man.
Regional Illinois theater chain, Marcus.
Is it regional to Illinois?
Yeah.
Oh. Greg,
they only
we're
have
your neighbors.
They only have 3 or 4 theaters, babe.
Greg, come on.
But
I thought they were everywhere.
No.
I thought they were smaller, maybe they'd died off a little bit, but I thought they were in other states.
I'm pretty sure they're not. I'm pretty sure it's just Illinois.
Greg will help you take over the Midwest.
I'm down. I want to make the Midwest the movie capital of America. Okay?
Tinseltown, USA.
Tinseltown, USA. We're taking all these California nut jobs. They're moving out anyways because the taxes are too high.
You know what's crazy?
They're going to.
When we lived in Carmel, every person you met was a transplant from California.
No, they weren't.
They were for me.
Really?
There were a lot of California transplants.
I met a lot of the natives, but I also grew up around there, so yeah.
They're like, that's a corn-fed man.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, yeah. To be fair, I'm not a Carmel boy. Just so that everyone knows, I'm not living in the Ritz here. Okay. So, but I am a Fisher's boy, so it's not.
Remember that girl that you worked with who was like, I grew up in the hood, I'm from Fisher's?
Who said that?
The girl with all the baby daddies.
Oh, yeah.
I forget
yes,
her name.
No, I know who you're talking about.
Did not matter,
you probably shouldn't dox anyone, but yes, no. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, and she was like, guys, I grew up addicted to crack. I grew up in Fisher's. And I remember one of my coworkers being like, dude, you know, she's fucking crazy. So
yeah,
there you go.
That was, yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, there you go. But
we've done our duty to you all again, seeing a terrible movie so you don't have to.
Please don't make me do it again. Please, CEO of Warner Brothers, don't make me do it again. Please. I hate it so much. But anyways, that's The Bride.
The Bride.
And let us know what you thought if you've seen it. Write in your comment sections. Be like, oh, I actually thought it was the most amazing movie ever. And
then we'll tell you you're wrong.
Yeah, we'll start a discussion in the comments. But let us know what you think. Send us in a Dear Maddie. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.